Hi everyone, welcome to my final commentary in my SSCI series. This game is the finals match. My HB, Engineering the Future, versus Shmi Guy's Dumbledore Wizard. Now, video footage here is courtesy of the StimHacked crew. You can find this video, if it's still up, on twitch.tv/StimHacked with an ED. Alright, let's get down to the game. Okay. This is not a good matchup. I'm not gonna lie. As I said, I brought this deck just to get some practice with it for the most wanted list world, and it was definitely not tuned very well against Wizard. However, this is still a pretty interesting game, to say the least. You get to see a bit of back and forth, but eventually I lost the game. Let's see how things unfolded and whether I could have done anything to change that. I started my turn, I kept my opening hand because it had NAPD. No, of course not. No, I kept my opening hand because it had two pieces of ice, both of which I'm going to install with the advanced assembly lines. So you can see just like this. I play lateral growth, I play advanced assembly lines, boom, I'm on 11 credits. I'm in restructure range. I don't have a restructure in hand, but I certainly can play one next turn if I want to. So if I do have a restructure in hand right now, if my opponent runs my centrals, I'll let him run. In this case, he doesn't. He finds his wild side, so he sets up. And yep, that's pretty good. So, turn passes over to me. I find a patch, Hull 1.0. Okay, so, here's where it gets a bit tricky. One of the key, I do play against Double Fox a lot, and there are some key strategies against Double Fox with regards to ice placement that can dramatically change the tides of the game. What you really want to do is to have an Architect protecting an Ichi. That is your best case scenario. Architect protecting Ichi means that your Ichi cannot get forked unless they're willing to let a subroutine on Architect fire. So here he runs through HQ, and being on last click, he is forced to chuck a bunch of cards. In this case, the Ichi on HQ will be better than the Architect on HQ because Ichi will have forced 4 cards out, whereas Architect will have forced 3. So that was a minor mistake in ice placement. Also, he hit the best card in my hand. He hit the Jackson. I would love to have him hit any other card, including the NAPD. Hitting the Jackson is quite a huge deal because you really need those Jacksons to draw to your win condition. Alright, so the biggest problem is I have 4 pieces of ice, which is good. The bad news is none of them end the run. So I can't actually construct the remote to begin scoring out. And you do want to score out pretty fast against Wizard. So I draw for the end of run and I find a Vitruvius instead. This is bad news. So I'm gonna improvise here. The next best end the run-esque ice I have is Architect. It's going on server 2. And I chuck something in the remote as well. It's an NAPD. I'm not trying to score it here. I'm just trying to scout out my opponent, see if he's willing to run a server. He's not, and he's putting himself down to 1 credit. So I think I can score the NAPD out next turn. Maybe protect it with some more ice. Otherwise, he could easily credit run and steal the NAPD if he suspects it. So here, I'm probably going to install the Fairchild 1.0 on server 2. This means that if he pays the credits for Fairchild 1, he is not able to steal the NAPD. I want to get rid of the NAPD as soon as I can. And here I do a double advance to trick him into thinking it's a food. He doesn't contest it. Plan foil, I'm just going to score it anyway. So, I'm up 2 points. Do I install the Vitruvius here? That's a question. I think the commentators were saying that they would do that, exactly that, and I'm not very sure about that. If you install a Vitruvius here, there's a very good chance my opponent would run. If it's an Ash or an Adonis, they'll be more than happy to kill it, and they have a lot of cards to do so. So I don't think installing the Vitruvius here was the right play. I'm pretty sure he would have gone for it, and would have easily wrecked my server. Fairchild into Architect isn't really the best. So I'm forced to dodo a bit, and my opponent runs R&D, at which point I res the Ichi. Not the best case, because my opponent can simply click through it. But, well, if I'm not going to attempt a remote score, I should be trying to defend my R&D. Otherwise, why did I put the ice there in the first place? So he does not click through. Okay, he does click through it. He breaks 2 subroutines. Nope, he breaks 1 subroutine, clicks for the other, and then allows me to trace. So I force him to lose a credit from the trace, and he accesses 1 card, and most importantly gets a second sucker counter. The sucker counter is kind of a big deal because Ichi could very well go down to a parasite. You can see that in his hand he has a clone chip which he plays out right now. So I know there's a parasite in the bin, I need to be careful. I also have to respect the fact that he might be running a fork. So the first order of business is to protect the Ichi, and no better ice to protect it than with Turing. Now, central tiering is one of the most underestimated strategies against Anarch of all time. You usually think that tiering is the best for remotes because, well, it says +3 strength on remotes. Why wouldn't you want it on a remote? But the fact that David slices through it so easily, and the fact that Anarchs have no outs against central tiering except with Parasite actually means quite a big deal. So he tries to chalk up some sucker counters here and tries to kill my Ichi, and I protect it with an Ichi into Ichi. Okay, so that wasn't a tiering. I didn't put the tiering there. I put the Ichi here because I wanted it to protect against the fault, one Ichi taking the blow for the other, but it didn't matter either way. So the most important, so yeah, sorry for talking about tiering, but anyway, you will see the remote tiering soon, later on in the game. Anyway, the most important thing here is that I'm forcing him to trash 4 cards from his hand, or 2 clicks in this case, I think, just to get through to kill my innermost Ichi, and that's quite a big deal. You always want to make you want to make them pay. You want to make them sweat, bleed, make them work to kill your eyes. You can't just leave your outermost eyes exposed. The one exception is obviously the Architect, which I'm leaving on HQ. They cannot kill the Architect on HQ, so leaving it just there is fine. And yeah, if he runs HQ right now, he's gonna get a lot of bounty. There are lots of agendas in here, but again, that's why Architect's so good. It forces a minimum of 2 cards every single run. So my opponent Dirty Laundry's Archives here, if I were him, I probably would Laundry HQ instead. Chuck a couple of cards, but you get to see a whole bunch of stuff. Or even play the Mimic, because at this point, your opponent's probably flooded, and I sure am. So I see the Magnet here, and this is go time. This is Magnet's time to shine. This is what it was built for. To kill the Parasite on the Ichi. So obviously it makes sense that Magnet goes on R&D. It's not cheap to install, and it puts me down to 6 credits, but I have to do it here. Because if he tries to suck down my Ichi on an R&D run, he's going to be very disappointed. Now I draw into a Chronos project here. At this point I have 4 freaking agendas in hand. Dear goodness me. So I'm just gonna chuck something in the remote, the Vitruvius, the one that I didn't want to chunk all the while. I'm chucking it here to bait him to running it, and obviously he runs it. Expecting a Turing, he places a David and tries to run through. I want him to steal this Vitruvius. I can't defend it. Even if he doesn't run it, I'm not interested in scoring it. What I'm really trying to do here is to score the Chronos project. I know that if I can wipe his deck with a well-timed Chronos project, I can turtle out the game for the win. On the contrary, there is no way I'm going to rush out to 7 points. Even though I have Vitruvius and food, there is no way in hell I'm going to score any agenda from this remote. He's going to kill it with fire, with parasites, with cutlery. I cannot afford to maintain this server, especially not when I haven't seen much money. After the early start, I'm so poor right now. No way I'm gonna have enough money to play the Biotic Labor and to advance my agendas the hard way. So I'm going to try to win with the sneaky Chronos project. That is my win condition at this point. I'm still gonna rest Ice here. I'm going to make him pay and work to steal the Vitruvius. That was the whole point of Vitruvius. I lose some, but I'm gonna win in the long run. So what I'm gonna do here is to try to get up to the magical 6 credits, wait for him to mill a couple more cards from outside, and then hit him with a well-timed Chronos. Let's see if that works. So, he draws into a spoon. I can't know that for sure, but that's fine because there are no rares code gates. I draw into a restructure, way too late. That restructure is not getting played. I have nothing to play from my hand. So this is actually a very big smoke signal. If HB Engineering the Future is not installing cards on the turn, it means that they have nothing worth installing. It means their hand is full of agendas. A very sharp runner would start running HQ here, but no, he runs R&D instead, thinking that he can kill my Ichi. Sorry mate, Magnet's a thing. For the first time in my entire life, I managed to suck a Parasite with a Magnet. That is game changing. So that basically rendered the entire run pointless. My opponent doesn't even have a medium. Why should he continue through the entire server, wasting a lot of cards and clicks for nothing? So that was a lot of effort wasted. He spent 3 whole turns incubating that Parasite. It was gone to waste. So, well, he has to bounce out and he installs the Mimic, makes a Dirty Laundry run on HQ. Oh no, don't hit the Chronos. Don't hit the Chronos. He hits the NAPD. That's good. That's good. That's fine. He's on 4 points, but we're still fine. I just need to protect HQ at this point. So I'm probably going to draw a card here. And I find a magnet. And no, okay, so that was the big misplay I made. I should have installed the magnet on HQ. Instead, I was very intent on playing the hedge fund. I wanted to get up to a good number of credits and hope that I can stall the game out for one more turn and try to Chronos the next turn. But instead, he plays the dirty laundry hit on HQ. I'm gambling at this point that he doesn't hit the 1 in 5, but sure thing he does. He hits the Chronos project, and that ended my game. That ended my chances of getting the championship title. You saw my reaction in the chat. I was so heartbroken and devastated. I mean, yes, I did misplay. The magnet really should have gone on HQ, but that aside, I mean, he didn't have multi-access, so there was still a good chance I would have survived that, but it didn't matter. The game was over, whether he stole the food or not. He was gonna win sooner or later. So that's the game. You can see that despite losing the game, I still had many outs. That magnet single-handedly kept my R&D alive, and that Chronos project could have won me the game. It would have been a very different game if I actually got the Chronos off, but too bad I didn't get to show that off. Well, it just goes to show you how resilient HB is even in the toughest of times, and sometimes it just comes down to random access luck or ABT firing, which, well, is the name of the game right now. But that's how it is. Well played, and congratulations again to Shmi Guy for taking it down. I can't be too disappointed about second place myself. Well, that's all for the SSCI series, and I hope you really enjoyed it. It was quite a blast making these videos, and we'll see what I have up on the horizon. Till next time, thanks for watching. Happy net running as usual. Goodbye.